The story takes place in a city called Zermatt, located in Switzerland. There lived an old man on the corner of a street. He was so old that he could barely manage to walk. People would often distribute food packets to the poor and homeless. The old man would struggle to reach the place where the food was distributed and then slowly return to his usual spot. As the month of October came to an end, the fear of the shivering cold nights grew. The streets would soon be covered in snow, a thought that haunted the old man. All he had was a dirty, worn-out muffler full of holes to protect himself from the freezing cold. The muffler had once been grey, but it had now turned black, stiff, and was no longer soft or warm. Winter arrived, and freezing winds began drifting through the streets. Soon, it began to snow. The old man wrapped his head with that stiff piece of cloth, the so-called muffler. The streets quickly turned bright white, blanketed in a thick layer of snow. The old man shivered uncontrollably, but somehow managed to survive the freezing nights. The only thing that kept the old man going was his acceptance of his fate. He had convinced himself that there was no escape from the cold. After a few nights, he got used to the freezing cold. One day, a rich man happened to pass by. He noticed the old man sitting in the corner. Saddened by what he saw, he approached and asked softly, "How are you able to survive with such a small piece of cloth to cover yourself?" The old man, shivering, replied, "In my imagination, this torn piece of muffler is a thick blanket. The assumption of being covered by a thick blanket makes me feel warm." The rich man's heart trembled at the response. He promised the old man that he would bring him a blanket by dawn. For the first time in a long while, the old man's eyes filled with tears of hope he had never allowed himself to feel. That night, the old man waited desperately for the promised blanket. The winds felt colder than ever. His faith in the small cloth began to fade, replaced by a newfound hope that he would soon be covered in a warm blanket. But the rich man got busy with his life and forgot about the old man. Meanwhile, the old man continued to wait. The longer he waited, the colder the winds felt. It was past midnight, and the old man could barely keep his breath going. He struggled like a candle flickering in a storm, trying to protect its flame from the howling wind. It was only a matter of time before the flame faded into the darkness of the night. The breeze roared through the empty street as the old man's heart went silent. The next day, the rich man was once again passing by the street. A sudden memory struck him. His footsteps halted. He rushed to the corner, only to find the old man's frozen body covered in snow. Moral of the story: when there is no hope of help, the mind accepts its fate and learns to endure the pain. But when hope is given, it becomes a crutch, and we grow weak in the face of hardship. Never give someone hope if you cannot live up to it.